Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing the cards I made using Bella Boulevard's To the Moon collection, and this collection is so much fun. I had pre-ordered the 12x12 paper and also the ephemera pack, but then on Instagram I won more of the collection, so I have a few other things as well. I have the Bella Pops, some Puffy stickers, also the epoxy stickers, and then I have double of the 12x12 pattern paper and double ephemera packs. So that was really fun. So let's go ahead and get started with my first card design. This is really quick and simple. The background paper is actually from the cut apart sheet. So there's a 12x12 cut apart sheet that has this star image. It's a 4x6 and I just trimmed it down to 4 and 5 1/4. The Explorer with the little rocket ship is also one of those cut aparts on the sheet. Now Bella Boulevard does not offer this collection as a 6x6. It's only available in the 12x12 size. This collection would be perfect for scrapbooking, but I think the designs are still small enough you can use them for cards as well, since all I'm making in this video are A2 size cards. Now I could have just added that cut apart to the center of this star paper, but I wanted to have a little something extra, so I have that strip of orange cardstock and I used some Love from Lizi peel-offs to add to the center. It's a pretty copper color that matches nicely with that orange paper. I'll just adhere the cut apart. I did put a scrap piece of cardstock underneath just to keep everything level. And then I'll finish off the card using some more Love from Lizi peel-offs. These are the mini stars in the silver mirror color. And I'll also add some glossy accents to the little window on the rocket ship and some glitter using scrapbook.com's glitter brush to the fire on the little rocket ship. So there's my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I always enjoy making multiples of the same card, and it's really easy when you have 2 full sets of the 12x12 collection. For card design number 2, I have this fun chevron pattern paper for the background. I'm using another 3x4 cut apart, although I'll be using the back side. The sentiment on the other side is more love related, and I like to make more general purpose cards. I don't have a need for a lot of love cards. So I layered all of these papers with some dark blue cardstock. For the background piece, I'll layer it twice, first on a turquoise cardstock and then on that same dark blue cardstock. The background panel, that chevron paper, is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then I'm adding an additional 1/8 of an inch for each of the layers. So my final card will be American Standard A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I'll bring in a few of the ephemera pieces. I have the rocket ship and also that Soar High banner. I did decide to trim off the top part of that Soar High. I felt it was a little too busy to go with that chevron pattern paper. Before adhering the ephemera pieces, I will add some thin foam squares to the back, just for a little extra dimension. I like the thin foam squares since you can still mail your cards without paying any additional postage. Now bring in these really fun puffy stickers. It's a bunch of little stars. There's some moons and some little circles in there. I'm going to use just the stars on this card. Now these are stickers, so they do have adhesive on the back, but I'm going to add just a drop of liquid adhesive as well, just to make sure they're going to stay in place. Sometimes the stickers like this or the chipboard stickers don't adhere very well. It's never fun to find the little pieces have fallen off of my cards, so adding just that drop of glue will ensure they're going to stay in place. I'll bring in some more of the mini star peel-offs. I love these. The silver mirror is my favorite color of all of the mini stars. So I'm just adding a few of the teeny tiny stars around that background. They add just a little extra shine. To finish off the card, I'll bring out that glitter brush again, add it to the flames, and then those 4 small white circles. I'm using some Nuvo glitter drops. This is the Silver Crystals color. Just putting 1 small drop on each of those little white circles. And I'm also going to add the glossy accents to that window frame. So there's the 2 windows. So once that dries, it'll add just a little extra detail. Even though this is a fairly simple card design, adding some of those little extra touches really steps up your card. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this design. If you are interested in any of the products I use in this video, I do have links provided in the description box. For card design number 3, I have this fun star pattern paper. I'm adding a stitched oval die cut, and I use some white shimmer cardstock for that. I'm going to glue it to the center of that background pattern paper, layer it on some dark blue cardstock. I use a lot of the dark blue and the black cardstock in this video. It just works nicely with the collection. Put my card front onto a card base. For this card, I will have 1/8 of an inch of that white card base showing. Now I'll bring in several different ephemera pieces. I have the sentiment Best Buddies on this little banner. I'm going to pop that up with some foam squares. I have 2 little aliens. These are so cute. And then 3 different arrows. So I thought I'd have all of those arrows pointing to the Best Buddies. I'll glue the arrows down just using some liquid adhesive. I do have some foam dimension on the back of the aliens. I think this would be a fun card for a child to give to their best friend, maybe for their birthday or just because. Everybody likes to receive happy mail. So remove the release paper on the back of the phone tape and adhere the aliens more toward the left on the card. Once those are adhered, I'll bring in the mini star peel-offs. I'm going to use 1 star of each size. So I'll put 2 of them to the right of the blue alien and then 1 in between the 2 buddies. And I'll also use the Glossy Accents and add it to the alien's eyes, just for a little tiny bit of shine. And there is my finished card. Again, I did make 2 using this design. And then I also made 2 sort of similar cards. I have a stitched rectangle for the background and added a couple of robots. I have the sentiment Hello Friend and then added a few of the star ephemera pieces. My original plan for this video was to do 10 different card designs, but I went over just a little bit. I'm using this fun star constellation pattern paper for the background. I have a few ephemera pieces. I have the planet Earth, which I'm going to have it hang off of the right just a little bit. I flipped over that panel and trimmed off the extra. I'll also glue down the sun toward the left. I'll layer this piece on some dark blue cardstock. I'll be adding 1 of the Bella Pops. This is Space Boy. These are so cute. They do have a lot of dimensions, so I would not recommend putting these through the regular mail. Maybe add it to a package or hand deliver it. So I'm going to add the little astronaut in the bottom left-hand corner. And then I'm using the ephemera piece with the little sign that has amazing, and I'm tucking it behind his little hand. The Bella Pops have a few different layers and there's a gap underneath the arm, so I can easily tuck the handle of that sign. I'll also add the other few star pieces that are included on the sheet. I'll put 2 of them in the lower right hand corner and then the blue star above the sun. Then I decided that sun needed some sparkle, so I'm using the glitter brush and just covering the entire sun. So there's the finished card. I did make a second similar card. I used a different Bella Pop with the little dog inside the rocket ship. And I also used 1 of the stickers from their 12x12 sticker sheet, the You Are My World, and I just popped that up using some foam dimension. For card design number 5, using that same constellation pattern paper, I really like this pattern paper. It works out great for creating scenes with all the ephemera pieces. So I actually just went and ordered another 2 sheets since I still have a ton of ephemera left over. I added 1 of the planets. I don't know, maybe that's Mars. Put it on the left-hand side. I just trimmed off the extra, layering this on some dark blue cardstock. And I have several other ephemera pieces. I have 1 of the planets. Don't know my planet, so I'm not sure which one this is supposed to be. Using the sentiment Shine Like a Star, I will pop that up using some foam dimension, and I'll also pop up the astronaut. It's so fun that they're holding a star balloon while they're floating out in space. My daughter saw this card and was wondering why in the world would they be holding a balloon? I don't know, it's just fun. I'm going to add that little sentiment banner in the upper left-hand corner. So I am covering up most of Mars, but you can still see it on the outside. I'll remove the release paper and add the little astronaut in front of the planet. I think that might be Jupiter, not sure. Then I have a few other ephemera pieces that have little clusters of stars, and I'll glue those directly down onto the panel. I probably messed up those constellations in the background with those larger star clusters, but that's okay. Then finishing touches, need to add some sparkle to all the stars. I'm using that scrapbook.com glitter brush. This is just their clear color. Also bring in the Glossy Accents and add it to a few different parts on the suit. The little blue parts on the helmet and also the Earth badge. And I almost forgot to add the sparkle to that star balloon. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out. Definitely one of my favorites, but do let me know which one is your favorite. It's always hard to choose just one with such an adorable collection. For card design number 6, I'm using this tone-on-tone black star pattern paper for the background. I'll add some Love from Lizi peel-offs to the very bottom. These are the silver holographic color in the pinstripe style. I'm using the widest width and also the narrowest width. Just putting 2 of them at the very bottom. Now most of that is going to be covered up, so I'm using just some small scraps for that second row. And I probably should have used just some small scraps for that wider strip as well. I'll add one of the planets in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to have it hang off the edge again and just trimmed off the extra. I'll layer this panel on some black cardstock. I love the contrast from the planet in that star pattern paper. So put my card front onto a card base. I won't have any of the white card base showing this time. I have a few different ephemera pieces and I've already added foam tape to the back. I have the sentiment, the sky is the limit, and I did use regular foam tape for that piece. I have another little astronaut and then the little dog with the spacesuit, so cute. I'll bring in the Puffy stickers, use a few more of the stars and some of the circles. That drop of liquid adhesive on the back again just to make sure they'll stay in place. And the glue does dry clear, so if you see a little extra seeping out, that will dry clear. I'm just putting a few around the scene, trying to mix up the stars and those little circles. Also trying to mix up the colors. So I'm going to add one more, do the little yellow circle, put it up by that blue star. Then for a few finishing touches, I'll use the Glossy Accents, add it to the eye of the little dog. Also put it on the little orange parts on the helmet and the little blue badge or control panel on the spacesuit. And I thought the planet needed a little bit of sparkle, so I'm using some Nuvo glitter drops. This is the golden sunset color. I'm adding just a stripe of it underneath all of the orange stripes on the planet. So now it'll have a lot of sparkle. This collection is so fun. I really enjoyed creating all the different space scenes. So this black star paper, I did order another 2 sheets of it as well, since it works perfectly for those ephemera pieces. And there is my finished card. I did end up making a total of 4. The other 2 cards, I used the spaceship ephemera pieces, and the sentiment is from a Lawn Fawn set. Hope your birthday is out of this world. I also added some mini star peel-offs. They're a clear glitter color to the background. Moving on to card design number 7. So I'm going to bring in a card sketch. I know this is shocking. First one in the video so far. This is Mojo Monday number 517. I have 2 different pattern papers, the fun bright planet pattern paper and also some more of that black gray star pattern paper. I'll layer everything on some black cardstock. I also have some solid light gray cardstock for that background piece. So I'll add those 2 pieces and then put some black peel-offs between those 2 pattern papers. You're only going to see a tiny bit of it, so I didn't need a full strip. I'll put my card front onto a card base. I won't have any of that white card base showing. Now I did have just a little bit of that white card base showing at the bottom, and that bothers me a lot, so I did need to go and trim that down. For the little ribbon piece that's indicated on the sketch, I'm using some yellow cardstock. I'll add my planet pattern paper on next. I think it would be really cute to bring in some twine or ribbon, but I wanted to keep this card fairly flat. I do still have a fun little bow to add. This is a die set from Paper Rose. So there's two little pieces. I'm just going to adhere those together and then glue that bow in the upper left-hand corner as indicated on the sketch. For the image on the card, I have this adorable image with the two astronauts and a little heart between them. This was one of the cut-aparts. I think it was a 3x4 size. Maybe it was a 4x4. I used a small stitched circle die to cut those out and then layered it on a black circle die cut. Using one of the ephemera pieces, Dream Big, layered that on some black cardstock. I am adding a thin strip of cardstock to the bottom of this piece before adhering it to the card, just to keep it nice and level. So there is my finished card, and I did make two using this sketch. I love the vivid colors of the planets on that pattern paper. You could use some circle dies to cut those out and have some extra ephemera pieces. For card design number 8, I'm using another card sketch. This is from OWH. It's number 219. It's one of my favorite sketches. I use it all the time. I have this astronaut pattern paper and also some star pattern paper for the bottom. Layering everything on some dark blue cardstock, and the very background piece I use some white shimmer cardstock. You only see the very outside edge, but it does add just that little bit of shimmer. Now there's a gap between those two pattern papers, so I'm adding just a thin strip of cardstock. Then I'll put liquid adhesive on the back of this orange strip of cardstock and cover that area up. And that'll just make sure there isn't a noticeable dip on the front of the card. I'll layer this panel on some blue cardstock. I generally add an additional 1/8 of an inch from my cardstock layers, but for this card, that background layer is an additional 1/4 of an inch. And that's only because I have a white panel for the background. I like to have a little wider matted layer. I cut out a stitch circle die cut from that same blue cardstock. Before adhering it to the card, I am adding some scrap cardstock where it goes above and below that orange strip. So you can see I left a little gap. I'll just make sure it lines up straight and then adhere it to the card. I'll add this ephemera piece with the little ribbon, You're Out of This World. Put some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it onto that circle die cut. And for a finishing touch, I'll add just a few of the mini stars. I'm putting them underneath the word world. I decided not to add those 3 circles on the left-hand side of the card as indicated on the sketch, since that background paper is fairly busy with all the little astronauts. So there is my finished card. I did make a total of 6 using this sketch. I used 3 different sets of ephemera pieces, and then I also brought in that Lawn Fawn sentiment set for You Are Out of This World. 6x6 paper is still my favorite, but one thing I love about the 12x12 size, it's easy to make multiples of the same card. Now, obviously I didn't have enough ephemera pieces of the same type, but there's lots of ephemera included in these packs, so I just changed them up. For card design number 9, I'm not using a card sketch this time. I have that black paper with the gray stars for the background, layered it on some black cardstock, and then I'll add my card front to a card base. Now I'll bring in a ton of ephemera pieces. I love the sentiment You Rock, so I decided to use the moon, and then there's a few of the little asteroid pieces that are floating around in space, so I thought those would work well together. I also have this little banner I put in the upper left-hand corner, just tying in those same blues and teal or turquoise colors. Add a little arrow and have it pointing to the sentiment. For one of the asteroid, I'll glue that one down directly and it'll go underneath the sentiment. The other 2 I will pop up with some foam tape. I also added some foam dimension to the back of the sentiment. I'll add those little asteroid pieces, remove the release paper. They're just floating around in space. And I have several different stars, and I'll glue most of them down directly onto the card. For 2 of the stars, I will pop them using some foam squares. I adhered one in front of the moon and the other is in the upper right-hand corner. I'll just add those final few star pieces. And I dropped one of them. There's this tiny, tiny little star, so I had to go search for that one. And to finish off the card, bring in the Glossy Accents, add it to the star in the center of the O. Then I'll also bring in the glitter brush and add it to all of the stars. The stars need to have some sparkle. And there is my finished card. I was able to make 2. For that second card, I must be missing one of my ephemera asteroid pieces. Maybe lost it on the floor, not sure. So instead I just added one of the star ephemera pieces. For card design number 10, I'm using a card sketch from MFT. This is number 480. Now this is a vertical sketch, but I decided to rotate it and I'm making a horizontal card instead. I have 3 different pattern papers, the constellation paper for the background, using this fun yellow pattern paper that's covered with spaceships and rocket ships. And I also have a strip of the orange pattern paper that has arrows all over it. I just cut a thin strip so I would have 1 row of arrows. So I layered that on some dark blue cardstock. Before adhering that piece to the card, I did add a Love from Lizi peel off between those 2 pattern papers. So it'll have a little bit of separation and shine. I'll put my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I cut out 3 stitch circle die cuts from some orange cardstock. And I'll glue those down directly. So you can see I am following this sketch fairly closely. I did modify some of the measurements though. The coordinating ephemera and sticker sheet do have quite a few sentiments. I think most of them will work better for a scrapbook page versus a card though. So I am using another sentiment set. This is from Waffle Flower. It's their Big Dots sentiment set. I stamped out Happy Birthday. I used some Catherine Pooler ink. It matches perfectly with that background paper, so that was nice. And then just adhered it to the right-hand side above those 3 circles. So there is my finished card, and I was able to make 6 using the sketch. Now moving on to card design number 11, this is my final card design. I have a sketch from MFT, this is number 466. I'm using some green polka dot paper for the background, and then I have 2 other pattern papers. One has all the little astronauts and stars and the planets in the background, so it's really cute. The other is more of a tone-on-tone design. So I'm layering all of these pieces on some dark blue cardstock. But first I'll add a couple of the silver holographic peel-offs to the lower portion of the card. Using the widest width and the narrowest width, just putting 2 rows. I like to hold my panel onto my craft mat to try to make sure those strips are nice and straight. So I'll layer this panel on that dark blue cardstock, put my card front onto a card base. I don't know if you can see, the very edge of that cardstock does have the label, the basil label on it. So I'm using the back side, just trying to make sure to use as much of that cardstock as possible. I'll add some ATG tape to the back of the other 2 pieces and add them to the card. I cut out 2 banners using, I think it's a retired MFT die. It's a really narrow banner. Using some of that same dark blue cardstock, and then I also have a strip of the white shimmer cardstock. I glued the 2 pieces together first. Before adhering them to the card, I'm adding 2 small scrap pieces of cardstock in that little opening. Then I can put liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it to the card. Since the very top of those banners goes over the other layers, I just wanted to make sure to keep it all nice and level. I stamped out the sentiment hello. This is from that same Waffle Flower stamp set. I did trim off the right-hand side so it'll be flush to the edge. Put those scrap pieces of cardstock down first and then adhered it to the card. For a final finishing touch, I'll add a few of the mini star peel-offs, just putting them around the sentiment. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out as well, and I was able to make a total of 6 using this sketch. You can really see on this final card that those pattern papers have small enough images to work well for a card. Now here's a quick recap of the 38 cards I made using Bella Boulevard's To the Moon collection. This is such a fun collection. I really enjoyed using it. I still have a ton left over, especially since I had double of the pattern paper and the ephemera. I never did use any of the epoxy stickers, and I only used 1 sticker from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet. So big thank you to Bella Boulevard for this wonderful prize. I really enjoyed using it. I do have links provided in the description box if you are interested in any of the products I used in this video. I also have the other collection Bella Boulevard recently released called My Candy Girl. Lots and lots of pink. It's so cute. Now I only have the 12 by 12 paper, the ephemera, and the puffy stickers for that collection, but I can't wait to get started. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.